Tonight on Power Bourbon, we're going to review Old Fitzgerald 16. And as you can see, we upgraded Brian.
Hello, everybody.
So today, I got a text from a really good friend of mine, Cody Renwick, who is getting married here in November to
Congratulations.
Heather's.
My friends.
Yeah,
Yes.
Heather's really good
Dre,
friend.
shout out to you.
Yep. And he texted me, he's like, hey, a buddy said something about Old Fitzgerald. Have you ever had it? And I was like, are you talking the gold label? Like, because there's
which Old Fitzgerald?
Yeah, there's a couple Old Fitzes out there. And he sent a picture of a guy with a big long story about this. Well, not this bottle. It was the 8-year version of this, but about Old Fitzgerald. And he had a lot of questions. And so I went through and talked to him about all those things. But I realized other people might have questions. So Old Fitzgerald was one of the original guys that kind of worked at Stitzel-Weller. And he was notorious, and Heaven Hill's got a big thing about him now, which is pretty cool. He was notorious for just going into the rick house and stealing bourbon. And so these bottles or these barrels of bourbon that were really low became known as Fitzgerald bourbon or barrels,
right.
because he had been stealing from them. And then when the Van Winkles almost went under, because yes, there was a time they could not give Pappy away. It just sat on the shelves. Time machine, that's where I'm going. I'm just letting you know, and I'm going to buy it all up. And so they sold the Old Fitzgerald brand back to Heaven Hill. So nowadays, Heaven Hill is the one producing Old Fitzgerald. It is a wheated mash bill. And recently, in the last couple of years, they brought back a specialty version of it, which is the version that he was asking about, which is the Decanter series. So tonight we thought we would open our bottle because we've never opened ours. Chuck is going to continue to enjoy his, and we will give you our honest opinion on Old Fitzgerald 16 year, which is a distillery only release. You can only get it there, and it's only randomly released. There's no way of knowing for sure. So
I like this plan.
yes.
I mean, I've had the 15, right? That's what we had whenever... A year ago?
Yes.
Oh gosh, it must be longer than that now.
Yeah, because we got it before Violet was born.
Yeah. But I remember it being very good. I really liked it.
Because we made your dad open his 15-year-old that we bought
yeah,
him
that's right.
at the baby shower.
Yeah, and when TJ, it was probably over a year ago now that when I got my 16, and we opened it as soon as we got back from the distillery. Next year, Pappy 15. Along with your
Old
15.
Fitz 15, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm going to caveat this right off the bat. This is a $230 bottle, so it's up there. So I'm pretty sure when Chuck got his original one, I passed for the sake of my life and my marriage.
And marriage.
After trying Chuck's, I couldn't pass this next time, and Heather, having tried the 15-year, realized it was worth it, so she said yes too.
Yeah. Plus, I really like the decanter bottle. I mean, that's pretty cool. Yeah. But that was the point, right? They started selling the decanters because they wanted to entice people to buy bourbon, so it made it like a collectible thing.
Yeah, so back in the the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, that's where you get the Old Crow chessmen that everybody goes after now. The only way they could sell bourbon is decanters because essentially people didn't care about the bourbon. They only cared about the decanters. So this is a throwback to that time. And so you get a nice crystal decanter, but it's not like a $2,000 bottle like Woodford Baccarat, which is crazy.
Yeah, don't do that, please.
I know, that's Chuck's bottle.
No.
So the nose is subtle, as you would kind of expect from a wheated bourbon.
Yeah, but I'm getting caramel.
Oh, yeah.
Some caramel notes coming through.
I'd say oak. You get some oak in there, which you would
say with the 16 year. Yep, oak is dominant, but not overly oaked.
It's that sweet oak that you want. the caramel with the little oaky notes. You know that you're about ready to taste something.
This makes me excited.
Old.
Yeah.
It does the nose does what it's supposed to, which is gets you excited. This is not a bourbon for beginning bourbon drinkers. Like you need to have experienced bourbon for a little bit. When you do that,
to really appreciate it.
Yes.
Not that you couldn't drink it, but you're not going to enjoy it and appreciate it the same way. That's really good.
Just very sweet, caramel forward.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives way to the oak on the back end of the palate. And then for a 100 proof wheated bourbon, like the finish is pleasant. It's like it's not as spicy as what you expect on a rye mash bill, but it lingers.
Yeah.
I'm getting honey. It's just like this nice, like honey rolling through my mouth, waves in and out.
Yeah.
Well, and if you were having more than one or prepping a flight, like this isn't one to have after a higher proof rye mash bill bourbon. It's just going to, your palate's already, it's just going to get lost. So it's like, if you want to start the evening or start maybe after a lower proof bourbon and then move into this, like that's, your palate wouldn't be on fire yet from the higher proof rye.
It's good. I'm getting like hazelnut notes now. It's just so good. Like a buttery, hazelnut.
When we pull out the really good bourbon, we bring the second master taster in. Chuck's our main master taster, but Heather here pulls random.
Makes you think of Nutella.
On the beginning of the palate, you get a lot of sweetness. You get the caramel, you get the vanilla, you get
the brown sugar. Yeah, everything is kind of subtle, like comes out, but it's delicate.
I think that palate really extends well into the finish. Like I don't get that watery note. And so it's that sweetness on the front side that Heather was talking about, but then also it rolls into that oak / nuttiness. And then that just moves right into that finish for me. Like it's extended, like it is, I'd say, like take it down a notch probably from what you expect on say an Elijah Craig barrel proof, but it's consistent all the way through as far as giving you the next wave of flavor.
I'm just noticing Chuck's bottle is a lot lower.
Yeah.
It's got a pretty good chunk out of it.
He's got a second bottle.
I got a second one, so it's like, you know.
Oh yeah, you can.
He can just drink it all the time now.
Freely, yes. Knowing you have a backup.
Yeah.
Just
it does kind of. Yeah. Otherwise, I really don't touch this very often at all. It's a twice a year kind of a thing.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on to try this.
Oh, we're not done.
So good.
We got to rate.
Oh, rating. Okay.
Yes.
5s across the board. Oh, my bad. It has to be a group consensus, right?
Wow, we've never done that before. I'm gonna go first because I'll probably be the harshest. I'm gonna give it a 3.5. I think it's a little tame. I'm not gonna say tame. Delicate, a little delicate. But it's still really, really good, and it's definitely above average. So I'm just gonna go 3.5.
I'm a 3.5 as well. Because I think I've had a more favorable opinion of this nose in the past when we've sampled this blind, but it's pretty light. So it's dominantly the oak notes and a little bit of caramel and sweet, but I'd say more basic.
Well, I would have said 4, but now you guys kind of have me leaning towards the 3.5 because there's really not a whole lot to the nose. Like, I mean, you say it's subtle, but even when you try to pick out the things that are there, there's really not a whole lot. I can think of a lot of other things that we've tried where like the nose is so good. So I would agree, a 3.5.
Okay. So we'll let you start on the palate.
Okay. Well, the palate for me is a 5.
Oh.
I don't think the 5's ever been given on this channel.
That is the first 5 of the
It's so
channel.
good. Like, I mean, I know it's a lower proof, but it's just so smooth and like, I like that it's all that it's delicate, subtle. I mean, nothing's like bam in your face. It's just really nice. And I like like I said, I'm getting the hazelnut and buttery. So it has a really good texture in my mouth too. And honey. There's just a lot of really nice flavors in this. And like, there's nothing harsh about this at all to me. So
I like it.
It's really nice.
All right, so I guess I'll go second here, and I'm going to give it a 4. I think it is above several bourbons like this. When you taste this on the palate, and you know you've got something special. Yes, it may be delicate. Yes, it's not the high proof, high octane like the Elijah Craig barrel proofs that I absolutely love, but I can appreciate it. It's how I would expect. I've never had a $200 bottle of wine. Maybe someday I'll get there, but it's one of those that I have had enough bourbon now. I know I'm drinking something special. And to do that, it's got to be at least a 4. So I'm going to go 4.
Yeah, I mean, I sent this to you and Brian, TJ, after I first got it, and so it was blind to you guys, and I was a little worried that night. It's like as you're pouring it, you just hope they don't you just spent $240 on this bottle, and you're just like, you hope they appreciate it. And both you and Brian were like just raved about it. And again, it was blind to you. So to me, this palette is a 4.5. So that's kind of split the difference between you and Heather.
Fair. Yeah.
I love it. I have a hard time going 5 because I always think it could be better. Which I don't know. At some point it can't be. But yeah, I love how it is delicate, but it's a wheated. And so that's kind of a part of it. But I love the sweet and the oak and the nuttiness that comes through on it. So that combination and it's long lasting too. I didn't get that watery note that you were experiencing today.
I didn't really either.
Just me.
4.5.
It's okay. All right. And the finish. We'll let Chuck start with that one.
I'm going 4.5. So I think you got to preface that with 4 a wheated. Like Brian would rate this a 3.5 to a 4 probably because he just likes that rye forward finish. But to me, for a wheated finish at 100 proof, like this is impressive. It really coats the mouth well. It lingers. Like those flavors continue. And again, for me, it's hard to separate where that transition is from the palate to the finish on this. And that's also a good sign to me. So yeah, I'm at 4.5.
Fair.
So you want me to go next, and then you can maybe break the tie or break.
No, I want to put mine in there because like I've already kind of have something in mind, and then you can say that I'm wrong.
Hey, I like this.
Oh, she gave you permission.
My wife is wrong on YouTube.
We're recording.
Yes.
I would give it a 4 just because I feel like there's not a whole lot there in the finish. Like it is really nice, but I feel like there's more in the palate. I don't know. There's not any kind of spice finishing it out. So yeah, a 4. It's not bad. But what were you gonna do?
We're meant to be married. I think it's a 4 too. For the exact same.
He missed his opportunity.
For the exact same reasons. Like I agree that you could put it at a 4.5, and with what you were saying for a wheated and everything like that. Yeah, but the one thing that brings it back down to a 4 with me is I feel like the finish is 1, maybe 2 notes. And I wanted like a little more complex, a little bit of a roller coaster, a little bit up and down, pulling other flavors out. It's got a great finish, and that's definitely why I'm going to bump it up to a 4. But it's just not as complex as I'd want for a 4.5.
I'm just going to say that it just needs to open longer, and maybe we should just revisit this in 6 months and do this over again.
And maybe a few more subscribers.
Yeah, let's hope we break
positive
800, 900 by then. If we break 1,000, we got to start auctioning off Chuck's bourbon, so you can get a sample of Old Fitz 16 for yourself. It'd be great.
I like this.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Like,
join
comment,
Patreon.
subscribe.
Yeah. So I guess the thing is, like, do you buy it if you see it? And this is worth getting in trouble and sleeping a week on the couch for.
I don't know about that, but we don't advocate. I'm pro-marriage, Rachel, if you're watching.
Yeah. Yes.
There are limits.
Brian's wife was giving me a hard
time. There are
time.
limits.
Well, I'm lucky. My wife rated this a 5, so I'm not going to have to sleep on the couch if I buy it.
That's right.
On my 5th bottle, I might have to sleep
But again, when I got mine, you passed, so you were smart. Mm-hmm. Although I do remember that I remember it very vividly. You came up to me and you're like, "You're gonna hate me, but you got to buy that bottle." And I didn't know the price. Had no idea. And then it rings it up. I'm like, "Oh, okay then."
Yep. And now you don't blink an eye and buy it an old Carter or something like that, or a Blue Run.
That was early on in the bourbon journey.
Yep. So once again, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed these reviews, everything like that. If you've got a bottle out there that you want us to try to hunt down, try to find and review, we would be glad to do it. Also, please think about joining our Patreon community. They really help us to be able to do all these videos. And we reward our Patreon community. Coming up here, we are getting ready in September to do a blind flight of 7 bourbons, maybe more. I forget. It's been a while since I sent it. Of all great stuff. And at the end of the year, we're going to do our best of 2021. And we might even reward some of our Patreon members with some of that best bourbon that we think is the best of 21. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Finny.
See ya.
Power bourbon for Brian.
Come on, Heather.
Power bourbon.
There we go.